Okay, so we continue with the next project, which is updating our data review table using TextBox. So first, form you are double click on it to get the skeleton, which is the public class from one. When we double click it, so first we define two variables, which are table of which is dim table as new data table. A name table, which is like a virtual table to accept user inputs, and it will be binded with the data grid view. And we have the dim view, which stores indices of selected rows. So that's the purpose of it. It stores indices of selected rows. So we later move on to adding columns. Adding columns to a table. So we define our virtual table as table, a variable as table. So table.columns.add. We are adding a new column which has a name of ID and a data type of integer, which is the get type integer. So that of the second column is first name and its data type is string. That of the third is last name and its data type is string. And that of the fourth is age and its data type of is integer. So we move on to populate the table with rows, which contains some data we use to help us with better demonstration. So the rows have the table.rules.add has four parameters: one, xxx, yyyy, and 21. Each parameter corresponds to its respective column. So the one corresponds to the ID, the xxx corresponds to first name, the yyyy corresponds to last name, and the 21 corresponds to the age. Same applies to the second row, which has an ID of 2. The first name was SSSDDD and last name of HJSQ and an age of 33. So it goes on that way. So we want to bind our data grid view the data source with our virtual table, which is the data grid view the data source is equal to table. So we move on. So we have the if e dot row index greater than or equal to 0, then index is equal to e dot row index. All this does is that it makes sure that the row is selected, not the header. So we move on to the dim selected rows as data grid index. So as I said, to make sure that the rows are selected, not the header. So we later move on to the button one underscore click. So this is we get this skeleton when we double click on the button UI. So this is where the update takes place when we click on the button. So we have data grid view dot rules index dot cell 0 dot values equal to txt c and txt1 dot test. So what this does is that after the like the user has inputted the values, when it is input the value is inputted into the first text box, which is that of the ID, it is converted to an integer because the ID is only the ID text box is meant to accept only integer values. So it's converted to an integer, which is the C int convert integer. So the C instead for convert to integer, and which is associated with has the txt1 engulfed in it. So we have the txt2 which accepts strings, txt3 which accepts string, and the txt4 which is the age which accepts integer. That's why I have the C int. So this is the button aspect. So when the user clicks the button, this code enables the the data which already exists in the data grid view, the rules of the data grid view to update based on the column, the rule which was selected to take a look at its implementation of the UI. So, so this is our UI, and we are come to demonstrate how it is. So we have the ID. Let's say let's select our rule. Let's select our rule. So we selected our rule. So let's change the ID to, let's see, 7, the first name to Leon, last name to Jeff, and the age to 20. And let's just update so we can observe that the values updated. So let's go to this second one. Let's convert it to this 8. Again to if the settings, see the age, let's maintain the age to 20. You can observe that there's an update. So we end here and thank you.